At Fareway, we are proud to partner with the U.S. Marine Corps and Toys for Tots each and every holiday season. Together, we've raised over $3 million in the past 30 years and have delivered hope to countless children in our communities. And with your help, we can make this year the best one yet. Simply bring in a new, unwrapped toy to your local Fareway store or donate by rounding up to the nearest dollar at checkout. Merry Christmas to everyone, and here's to the next 30 years.
Let's rodeo at the Cinch World's Toughest Rodeo, January 10th and 11th at Wells Fargo Arena. It's rodeo and a whole lot more. Come early for autographs, pony rides, and more. See more action, the best entertainment, and be part of the fun. It's too great to wait. Get tickets now at HiVTix.com. It's wild, it's western, it's pro rodeo at the Cinch World's Toughest Rodeo, January 10th and 11th.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fareway Meat Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
Happy Festivus. Welcome to Two Guys, Chris and Chris. We got a lot of problems with all of you people, and today we're going to let you hear every way you have disappointed us in 2024.
I'm going to try not to be as crabby and angry as I was last show.
We have a lot of complaints. People are, full of. People were very gay.
They were gay?
Yeah, like you notice Christmas time we use the word gay for happy all the time, and we don't do it at any other point in the year.
What are you talking? Nobody uses the word gay at Christmas time.
All the songs. All the songs.
Well, like if you listen to the old crooner songs.
Yeah.
The children were gay.
Yeah. Everybody's gleefully gay. Yule logs.
Kenny Mayne
gay.
used to use that on SportsCenter. He would, like, if a team had a walk-off hit or something, he would say, "And they're gay." And then they made him stop doing it. He did it for a while in the 90s, but it didn't work like 5 years ago.
Oh, okay, so I probably shouldn't have done that then, is what you were saying?
Well, I don't know.
No, we were driving around.
You called someone a racial slur a couple weeks ago. So
we were driving around looking at Christmas lights last night, and I noticed that like all the songs have the word gay in them, like in reference to being happy. And I was like, that's a really interesting thing to me because that nobody ever talks like that any other time of the year.
Well, I don't think anybody talks like that now either, but if you put on an old Christmas song, I guess. But it's not like you're changing everything about how you describe happy people at Christmas. I mean, I don't think you're going to are you guys gay today?
I'm quite gay today.
I am in I'm in Bettendorf at my dad's at Big Donnie's.
How's the scenery over there?
Terrible. I mean,
are you going to go to that
brown,
old decrepit mall again like you did last year?
In Muscatine? I might have to. It's kind of a yearly thing to check out how things are going at the Muscatine Mall. I'm guessing there aren't any more. I think the 𝗀cie 𝗶𝗶𝗶 shoe store might still be open there, but that's about it.
So, like, there are actually still stores open in that mall?
Yeah. Well, the last time I was there, it was like the 𝗀cie 𝗶𝗶𝗶, and then I don't know what else. It's weird. Most of the stores are on the outside of the mall now, so you don't go in. You don't go inside.
Oh, that's how
It's
the
more
Ames
like an
Mall
outlet
is too.
mall. Yeah, that's how they've kind of retrofitted the malls. It's now like an outside mall.
Got a lot to get to. The college football slay-off, as I called it, on Saturday. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think we're gonna spend a lot of time on these bowl games coming up because there's just more important things to talk about. We are presented by Fareway Meat and Grocery. I will be going to Fareway later today to stock up for the next couple of days at the old homestead. Getting some meat, loading up on my meat. We are in the Channel Seed studios. Thank you to all the Channel Seeds men and women out there for supporting what we do. You're a great partner of ours here at Iowa Everywhere. Let's start with, first and foremost, we'll start local. Iowa swings and misses. It appears on a transfer quarterback. Late-ish last night, 𝗀𝗶𝗹𝗶, committed to Missouri. I'm not as in the inside Iowa recruiting space as many probably people in our audience, but this was like the number one guy. Is that accurate?
The number one guy Iowa was targeting?
Yeah. At this point?
I mean, that was he was the one they wanted. He visited. But, I mean, there are reports, I don't know how true they are, that he got $1.5 million. And, look, as we've talked about, do you really want Iowa to spend $1.5 million on a quarterback?
I would say no.
There are questions about the amount of money Iowa might have, and maybe they didn't have as much money as somebody else. But look, I don't know. Who knows? I trust what Iowa is trying to do. But if it's about a big price tag, no thanks. I mean, it didn't work with Cade McNamara. I know he's different. He was more of a veteran guy. I don't know that he's getting that much from Missouri, but I would guess Missouri has more money to put into this. I think their fan base has probably helped out their collective a little bit more than Iowa's has, but look at the track record. So I don't know. I think that they'll be able to pivot and find somebody else.
I would agree.
Hopefully that they don't have to pay.
This might
that
work
much
out
money
better,
too.
in my mind. I mean, I'm a firm believer in bringing those guys up as opposed to down in terms of like what they appear or what in their mind the job is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at how it worked out for Indiana this year. Not to say that Iowa's ever going to be in that spot without a new head coach, but you bring the Ohio kid in. That's just one example. It doesn't really change my opinion on Iowa football that they lost out on this kid at all. Did have another portal situation, and this one is very notable. Iowa State loses a starting defensive end to the portal over the weekend, Tyler Onyedem. And this was a surprise, Hassel, because he had already told the team and the collective that he was coming back. But again, as Bloom told me last night on our podcast that there's nothing legal. Like, you could sign these contracts don't really mean anything at this point. They will next year, but from what I'm hearing, he's going to end up likely as like a backup at an SEC program and probably get paid triple what he did at Iowa State last year. So it sucks, but I think Iowa State and Iowa fared pretty well as far as keeping their guys, and I'm not going to overreact to this.
No.
You're going to lose guys. That's just the way of the world these days. It does hurt for the bowl game, though. I mean, I don't know what it exactly means as far as, like, I don't think, like, the point spread should shift or anything like that, but you're one less defensive lineman against a really good Miami offense.
Yeah, it's already a defense that's just been ravaged by injuries all season long.
Yeah.
But, I mean, bowl game, schmoll game. Does it really matter? Are you're going down there, right?
Yeah, I'm going
We're not
down.
going to have a show. That's Sunday?
It is a Saturday.
We're not going to have another – oh, it's Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have another live show before then.
No, because we're going to have a best of on the 26th, which is already done and in the can. Van Winkle did that. Another promo, it is already on the feed. I was watching it on YouTube this morning while I was doing some other things. The Festivus episode is live.
Okay.
That you and me and Fails and Aiden recorded last week. So we are Seinfeld nuts here on Two Guys. If you like Seinfeld, that is going to be the show for you. That'll do really well, I think. I think a lot of people. Yeah, I think a lot of people will watch that. Everybody's feeling very gay right now. They want to have fun today. Aiden, welcome to the program. Van Winkle is out. Van Winkle is in California. Aiden is wearing a Festivus sweater.
Happy Festivus.
Happy Festivus
for the rest
to
of
you.
us.
Aiden's just going to wear that sweater.
I might not take it
entire
off.
Christmas season.
Yeah. Getting a lot of play.
It's beautiful.
Let's talk about the college football playoff from the weekend. The games were blowouts. I honestly, Chris, like the college football playoff, even prior to the expansion of it, the games were usually blowouts. Like we didn't, over the last like however many years, like those honestly, like they don't generally produce very good football games. In this first round of this new iteration of it, certainly there was no difference when it came to that. Total blowouts across the board. I do think that you read a lot of this stuff is from people who aren't actual college football fans, and it's probably a little bit overblown as far as overreacting to all of this. I don't think you can take 1 year and completely grade the entire thing. But, man, there's a lot of backlash over the weekend about the just one shitty game after another in the playoff.
And a lot of retroactive bitching as well about which teams got in and which teams should have been in. I've heard a lot of crap from college football analysts. It's garbage, really.
Mm-hmm.
The 𝗀cie𝗰𝗶𝗹 one has really been making the rounds, and I'm stunned that he said this.
It bothered me too.
I can't even fathom it. Aiden has that clip. If you haven't heard it, Aiden, why don't you go ahead and play that, because this is like the number one college football guy on TV, and to have him say this it blew my mind.
I hope next year the committee won't get caught up in what the social media and a lot of people who are fringe fans get caught up in, which is wins. They had 11 wins. They must be good. Who did they beat? I think is much more important than how many wins you have. That's old school way of approaching it. Indiana having 11 wins and beating nobody, that doesn't mean they're one of the 12 best teams. Remember, there's a big difference between deserving and best.
Yeah.
What this is all about is giving us the best 12 teams. Now, it's subjective. How you want to figure out the best 12 is up to you, but that's what I want to see. I don't want to hear about wins. How many winning's obviously important, but just because you have 11 wins doesn't mean you're better than a team that maybe had a tougher road that had 9 wins. So I think we get too caught up in how many wins you have. It's really more about who are the best 12 teams, and we need to get the best 12 teams in this tournament every year.
It's not the best 12 teams. It's not. If it was the best 12 teams, you wouldn't have any qualifiers like a Boise State getting a bye, right? That a conference champion gets an automatic bid. If it's the best 12 teams, all you're going to go by is power ratings, and the results aren't going to matter. You're just going to get the 12 best teams in power ratings and in Vegas odds, and the results on the field won't matter. The results on the field have to matter. Alabama got their ass kicked by a bad Oklahoma team. They lost to Vanderbilt. They lost 3 games. Yeah, Indiana might have gotten lucky by having to avoid some of the best teams in the Big Ten and only really having to play Ohio State and losing that game. But if you go 11-1 in the Big Ten, you have to be in. And I think it's a really dangerous thing to say, where wins don't matter. and all of a sudden you just start looking at stats, analytics, maybe eyeballs. You can't do that and have a meaningful season.
Completely agree. And I would also like to point out that the NCAA basketball tournament, which is maybe the most popular sporting event in the country, as far as it's hard to find people who say a bad thing about it, right? Everybody loves March Madness. It's not the 64 best teams.
No.
That's not what makes it great. It's not. If you're doing the 64 best teams, you're going to have like 5 and 12 Big 12 teams in there. Do we want that? No. The other point I would make is it's pretty dangerous. I use that word, and I agree. If we're going to make this a limited tournament, there are a lot of Big 12 fans out there who won't watch to the point,
Because
right?
if it's what he wants it to be,
correct,
the best 12 teams, he's going to say the Big 12 isn't good enough. Nobody from the Big 12 should get in.
And then, like a guy like me is probably I would have it on. I wouldn't care as much, and I probably would have cared more about that Chiefs-Texans game that was on at the same. Honest, I'm just being honest with you. Like when we, that's how that.
Did you mute yourself?
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't mean to. I don't watch a lot of NFL unless it's the NFC North or a game that might impact my Minnesota Vikings, right? It's just how a lot of sports fans work. And right now the Vikings are like in a playoff mix, so I feel like every game impacts them. But I was still watching the college football playoff on my big TV on Saturday because of the Big 12 tie. Like I am rooting for Arizona State. I don't think they're going to win it, but like I know that league needs it. If you start, so from what I hear Herb Street saying is, let's just make it a super league and move on, and you're going to seclude all of these but your TV ratings will go down. That when you start to limit it where nobody on the West Coast should care, right? Like USC and UCLA already have bad fan bases anyways. These people aren't diehards.
Yeah.
Nobody on the West Coast is we're going to make this a Midwest / Southeastern sport, is what I hear him saying.
And what you don't hear these people that share that view say is anything about Tennessee and their performance against Ohio State. Well, Tennessee, they belonged. They just didn't play a good game. Tennessee went through a tough schedule in the SEC. They got their big win. They belonged to be there. They just, but
Indiana
ran into the
didn't
better
belong.
team. Yeah, it's all about Indiana and SMU and this Tennessee performance, which was maybe the worst of all, just gets totally overlooked. I mean, but thank God that happened. I mean, if Tennessee would have gone and won that game, it would be a lot worse.
Can we also just make the point that these leagues, the SEC specifically, and the Big Ten to a lesser extent, but you kind of did this to yourself when you made these giant ass leagues. We said it from day one. Somebody has to lose. This year it was Alabama. They got enough losses and they didn't get not everybody can be 11-1 when you have a league that big with that many power programs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you did it for money. Like nobody here can look anybody in the eye and said, yeah, all these that we expanded all these leagues and pillaged all these traditions. Like the Pac-12 should still exist.
Yeah.
Right?
They'd be performing pretty well.
Yes.
This year too.
It should still exist. If they did it for the for the fans and for the future of the sport and all that, we would have smaller conferences with regional rivals. But they didn't. They went for money, and now you can't bitch about consequences, man. Like when you make decisions in life, there are consequences to everything, and this is one of them. But now because they have all the power, because the Big Ten, the SEC can just do whatever the fuck they want. Pardon my French. They're going to manipulate this thing to be even more in their favor. And again, Chris, this is why in July we told you guys the Big 12's a one-bid league, and it didn't matter what happened. They were going to be a one-bid league. And I certainly don't feel like this weekend helped in regards of like what happens next year, right? Does Indiana get left out after that magical? Does Bama's getting in over SMU next year? Promise you that.
The biggest problem, one of the biggest things I think that can be corrected if they think outside the box is this, they went 11-1, but they didn't beat anybody. We have to find a way to make these schedules a little bit more equal, especially in the Big Ten. I mean, that's why I can't believe Iowa has 3 protected rivals.
Well, and plus it's like, what was Indiana supposed to do?
Well, Indiana can't do anything, but I think you have to think like flex scheduling that we've talked about.
Yeah, great point.
Can we get an Indiana game against Penn State late in the year? I mean, they only played Ohio State, and they lost it, and they didn't beat anybody else. Well, you know who else didn't beat anybody? Texas. Texas didn't have any top 25 wins going into the playoff, but you don't hear anything about that because it's Texas. With Indiana, I don't know. I mean, you compare their schedule to other teams, and it is a lot easier. I mean, who's the best win that Indiana had? Is it Michigan?
Probably. Or Nebraska, just because the way that they beat them.
They have to figure out a way. You either play more conference games and or add in some flex scheduling. Because I guarantee, because of all this discourse, next year, if it's the same situation, and let's just say this is a bad example because Iowa's schedule is tougher next year. But if Iowa had the schedule it had this year, and they go 11-1, but they lost their only game against a good team to Ohio State. They're going to be talking about leaving a team like Iowa out.
Well, this is going to result in a 16-team tournament, would be my guess, with 4 guaranteed spots for the Big Ten and the SEC.
And is it even going to guarantee? Will the Big 12 and the ACC have a guaranteed spot?
I'm guessing, but
will it still be the 5 highest ranked conference champions get in?
No. Oh, well, yeah, I don't know about that, but this Boise State having a bye thing, the days of that are done.
Yeah.
I mean, for the sake of the sport,
I totally agree. Yeah,
God, I really hope that Arizona State and Boise State can put on a show, just for the sake of this whole thing. So let me give you
at least stay competitive.
Here's the lines for the quarterfinals. These were as of Sunday night. Penn State, again, who didn't get a bye, is an 11-point favorite over Boise. You've got Texas. This one shocked me that it was this big. Texas is a 14-point favorite over Arizona State. Ohio State is a 2.5-point favorite over Oregon. So there's the Oregon conversation where the number 1 seed now has to.
You're an underdog in your first game.
Underdog. And then Georgia is a 1.5-point favorite over Notre Dame.
So 3 of the 4 teams that won are favored in their next game.
Yeah.
And the only other one is the only one that is favored is just a very, very slight dog, I should say. And that's what you said, Notre Dame, Georgia?
Yeah, Notre Dame is favored by 1.5 points.
That's the other thing here
or Georgia is. I'm sorry. Georgia's favored.
Yeah, Georgia's favored over Notre Dame's the only team that won that's an underdog going into this quarterfinal round. Is the way that this is set up, where you had these buys that went to Boise and Arizona State, is you had some of the best teams in the country playing in the first round. Teams that you would power rate, like Ohio State, like Texas. So you had maybe top 5 teams playing teams that are in the teens, the SMUs, the Clemsons. So they were kind of mismatches. Because I think in a perfect world, Arizona State and Boise State would host games in the first round. They would host games. And then
we need to get rid of these stupid bowl games in the quarterfinals. These need to all be on campus.
It's ridiculous.
There's no reason this should be the fucking Fiesta Bowl. Kick the Bulls out of it.
And I heard a lot of people last week really worried about attendance at these home sites. Well, it's Christmas week. The students aren't there. There's only going to be 70,000 people at Penn State. No. The atmospheres were awesome.
That was the best part of the entire weekend.
By far.
And I thought that
and it was a
ESPN
huge
and
advantage.
TNT or whoever the hell was in charge of that did a great job of showcasing that in pregame.
It instantly made it more interesting, more memorable, and gave you a huge advantage. I mean, just think what would the games have been like if it was, Boise hosting Clemson instead of Texas, Arizona State hosting SMU.
We need to massage this thing as far as how they do the seeding and the buys and all that stuff. But to completely blow it up because we had 4 bad games is ridiculous.
No.
It is. This is all setting up, though, man. The only good thing that happened was Tennessee getting blown out because Sankey couldn't run his mouth.
Yes.
Right.
Thank God for that result.
That was the only positive thing. And I gotta give Don Hassel credit for a couple there.
Did you mute yourself again? What the hell's going on over there?
I don't know. My mic keeps getting unplugged.
Oh, Jesus. Now you've got mix minus, so I'm hearing myself.
All right, I'm back now.
There you go.
Sorry. I got a cord problem. I got to get that fixed. Don sent me this Iowa football helmet.
No, it wasn't Don. It was Big Donnie.
Yes, it was Big Donnie right there. And I also just blessed to be in this.
Now what happened?
Same thing. I was just.
God damn it!
I was moving it so I don't touch it the rest of the episode. Okay. Yes, I got a cord problem with this mic. I got to get fixed. Don pointed out in week 3 how much he couldn't stand the Indiana coach. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He's like, I want him to get their ass whooped. That Indiana coach is a little bit too big for his britches. And, God, that guy is insufferable. Did you see him on College Game Day before the game on? I was like, and I don't ever root for Notre Dame. I was like, screw it, go Domers. I completely flipped. I'm like,
Can you imagine that?
I'm
Indiana
done with this guy.
is the more unlikable football program.
Jeez, that guy's
between Indiana and Notre Dame.
Yeah,
Go.
What did he say? He's like, not only to beat top 25 teams, we whoop their ass.
Yeah. Why?
What are you talking about? God, man.
Just totally deranged.
You have such an opportunity here to be the Cinderella story that the whole country is just galvanized by.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep talking. Shut up. So I got to give Don credit because Don was sniffing that guy out in September.
Yeah, he did. He's a good judge of character.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that helmet?
I'm gonna display it. Actually, I think I might take it to our studio because we need some Iowa. We have, it's all, so that way when I have a Hawkeye guest, I can put it on and put it on the table,
Jake in the comments suggests that you get McNamara to sign that.
Well, if I could track down Deacon Hill, feels like that'd be, maybe I could get Kyle Conradi to sign it.
Oh, God.
What do you think about that?
We have the Petra signed jersey in there. If we could get Deacon Hill or Cade McNamara right next to it, that's a Hall of Fame right there.
Williams really missed out on not buying the Deacon Hill Big Deke Energy swim trunks that were on his NIL merch store. Maybe they're still there.
There's no way they sold out of those things. They have to be around. If I was an Iowa fan, I would have bought the shit out of those things and just worn them ironically for the next 20 years.
Kyle says that you should get the helmet signed by Hill, Petrus, and McNamara, the holy trinity of Iowa quarterbacks.
Speaking of that, real quick, let's pull up that tweet from the Swarm last night. I just wanted to get your take on this, and we've already had a couple people asking what we thought. So this is our friend of the program, Brad Heinrichs. I like Brad. We're not mocking or anything. He put this out. He said, to all those who are capable and willing, we are trying to land some guys in the transfer portal right now. These guys are difference makers. Any support you are willing to provide would be amazing. That was at 6:01. Do you think he was referencing 𝗀𝗶𝗹, or what does that mean?
How can you not look into the timing of it? And 𝗀𝗶𝗹 choosing Missouri over Iowa. The way that he words that makes it seem like they didn't have enough money to get 𝗀𝗶𝗹. And a lot of people in the comments have been pointing out that this is basically like my impression of Bloom.
Can I have some money to pay the players? This is Brad Heinrichs. I need the monies to pay the players. I need the monies.
Bloom doesn't have to do it as much anymore. They're right. It's a double standard if I don't do it for the Iowa side, because this is exactly that. Call to arms. He's got the collection played out.
Maybe because Bloom is such a good friend of mine. I have big-time sympathy for these guys. These guys are Brad,
God
and
bless them.
just total thankless.
Because you put out a tweet like that, and then,
Look
hundreds
at the
of people come
responses
back.
to
Well,
that.
I've got my what do you want me to do? Not stop paying my mortgage so you can pay those goddamn kids?
Yeah. They're in total that, and I mean, I can only imagine. I can't imagine these guys are getting like thank you notes from the coaching staff. They get kicked around, like just taking shit from fans all the time. Like I have respect for the work that both of those guys and their staffs have tried to do during this era of, especially like it also is just, it's at a time of year when everybody's being like charitable and right. And then, oh God, we got to get this D-line.
Instead of giving to the Salvation Army Santa outside Fairway,
like it's so hard.
Why don't you give to us?
Well,
Mike says Swarm just needs a quality Amish bench to sell.
Don't you feel bad for them though?
Yes, I do.
Because then when the teams lose, everybody shits on them,
right?
And then it's not their fault.
Yeah. How about the Iowa State football program has the most successful season it's ever had, and yet
literally
some people are still coming at Bloom. Oh, this is what we get for the money we pay you. Get blown out in the Big 12 championship game.
I would guess if you go and run like their actual donation levels, they're not exactly the big spenders either. This isn't the guy writing the $50,000 check, but whatever. The whole thing is broken. We all know this, and those guys know this too. They're doing their best.
Yes.
And best in a bad spot. So let's give them a little. Let's be gay and give them some grace.
I need the monies for the next Deacon Hill.
It's a Festivus for the rest of us.
Oh.
What was your problem on Friday night, by the way?
What?
I'm at my daughter's. My daughter's a
Oh
pianist.
yeah, my dad's pissed at you.
No, like honestly, like
he really is pissed.
I'm not gonna lie though, it actually hurt my feelings on Friday night.
Well, it should.
My daughter was her first ever piano recital.
Who gives a shit about your daughter playing a piano?
It was.
You could have come over and you could have been gay with us.
I told you I would have come on Thursday or Sunday, that I couldn't come on Friday or Saturday. We could have had a very gay night together.
But my dad...
Friday night, I'm at my daughter's piano recital, and it was so sweet. I've never been more proud. She was so nervous to go up and play in her first recital. And she's holding my hand, and she's like, "Dad, my stomach hurts. I'm so nervous. I don't know." And we're holding hands, and it's this beautiful father-daughter moment. I walk her up. Oh, it was just night I'll remember. And my phone is just blowing up. Andy fails with a picture of you all flipping me off. Fuck you, Williams. You're dead to me. Like, it really, really, really hurt my feelings.
So when we invited you over, I guess, according to my dad, you originally said you can't do it because you're having a family Christmas.
Which we did all day on Saturday.
So then when
that was the
when
day
Andy
I said I
got
couldn't
there,
do it.
He said, wait a second, he's not doing a family Christmas. Looks like he's at some kind of Christmas concert. That son of a bitch. Last year, he didn't come because of some big factory explosion in Marshalltown.
It wasn't in Marshalltown, but whatever. My brother-in-law does maintenance, and there was this big emergency, and we had to switch the date last minute. But whatever.
So my dad is convinced that you are just making up excuses to not come over.
I would love to come over. I said I would come on Thursday or Sunday.
Thursday.
And you guys, like, honestly, I'm having this beautiful moment with my daughter. Like, I'm, like, fighting back the tears. I'm so proud. And then all my phone is that text chain of you guys just mother effing me, just being really, really rude, vulgar.
I'm glad it got to you because you need to be shamed into finally coming over here because you're always like, whatever it takes, I'll get it done.
Dude, did you expect? I mean, honestly, I need to know what's going on here because I thought we were very close, like brothers. Okay, I would help you move if you had to move. Honestly, like Jerry did.
Would you drive me to the airport?
I'd drive you to the. I have driven you to the airport. I picked you up at the airport that night, and I brought you a roadie.
That's
remember?
true, you did.
Are the expectations in this friendship to just completely miss my children's like big events in their lives?
I'm only back twice a year.
She only has her first recital once, Chris.
Well, I mean, Jesus, they're doing all kinds of stuff. Yeah, but I got to see her first karate lesson. I've got to see her first Christmas concert. I got to see her first time she goes up and sings in front of the church. You're having her do too many things. There's just way too many firsts here, and you're not allowing time. Like we told you, this was like 2 months ago.
And I told you I couldn't do those 2 dates,
and you couldn't do it. It's really disappointing.
I was super proud of her though. It's at this church, and it's not like a religious piano thing, but that's just where the recital is, you know, and. Because it wasn't
a priest that taught her how to play the piano.
But it's all these kids playing like "Oh Holy Night," you know, a little "We Three Kings" action. Had a little "Mary, Did You Know?" And then Cammie chose to play "Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer." Just blew the house down. Loved it.
My dad asked me if I've ever met your dad. And I said, yeah. And he said, is he as big of a hillbilly as it seems he is? I said, nah, he really didn't seem too hillbilly-ish to me. He just seemed kind of like a normal guy. He does come off as different, and I think my dad does too. My dad his like social media personality is so different from how he
My dad was
is.
just on one like my dad is now your dad. He's obsessed with the Hawks because every time my dad shits on Iowa, his notifications just blow up.
Oh, yeah.
So he's addicted to the attention now that comes with it. So, like, he's leaning full Hawk troll. Like, I would guess 75% of my dad's tweets now are about how much he hates Iowa.
Well, you got to lean into the brand, you know, what your audience wants. We were when we went out to eat that night on Friday night, we were sitting after dinner at the bar, and I shit you not, somebody comes over and says, I've got to meet Big Donnie.
I love it.
Yeah. He's a guy, big fan, Big Donnie. And I mean, he was walking around that place like he was cock of the walk.
Let's do our Kelderman Manufacturing 𝗙𝗶𝗶 featuring 80
Bigger, better, bolder. Built by Kelderman Manufacturing.
Hey, Sam Darnold, can we give him some love? Did you see the throw he made yesterday to Justin Jefferson with just over 10 minutes to go. I don't care if you're a Vikings fan or not. This is an incredible story. Totally left for dead. This guy had been mocked, kicked, stomped.
Yeah, who would have thought this guy would be an upgrade over Cousins?
And Chris, it's happening. I joked about this like 6 weeks ago that this would happen. The conversation has to be had now about what to do with J.J. McCarthy and him. And there's already, I saw Colin Cowherd put out a podcast last night, and the title was "The Vikings Have," capital letters, to keep Sam Darnold. And this is going to become they might be the number one seed in the NFC. Like, how do you, it's just a crazy sports story. This is why, like, sports are our reality television. And I give more credit to Kevin O'Connell than I do Darnold in a weird way, because you know my philosophy on quarterbacks. I probably I would underpay quarterbacks because I want a really good scheme. Like, to me, that's more important. And to me, if Darnold is at Dallas right now, he's not having this year. It's because of Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and that scheme around him. So I don't know if I would. I don't care though. Like, this is an incredible sports story, a redemption story that's been a lot of fun to watch.
Did you see the stat where he had 13 wins with the Jets? Which
I didn't see.
He has 13 wins with the Vikings just this year.
Wow, I hadn't.
I mean,
that was crazy though, because you had Mark Sanchez calling the game, and it was Geno Smith against Sam Darnold in that game yesterday.
He's got the weapons. I just, like, if I'm somebody else, I'm not paying Sam Darnold a bunch of money to come. But if I'm the Vikings, and in that, clearly, whatever they're doing is working. So it's, if you don't try to run that back, and it might all depend on how things go down in the playoffs, because if they go in and they get crushed, then it might be easier to say, well, we need that next level. Hopefully J.J. McCarthy can be even better than that. But it is quite the story, because he was totally written off. And then now Kirk Cousins is done. Kirk Cousins is done. They're
and a really good lesson there too. It's like I don't feel sorry for Cousins at all. And I didn't hate him when he played for the Vikings. I wasn't one of those haters. But this is a guy who was in this amazing system. He deserves credit for the Zimmer years, because he played through a lot of shit there. But you just take max money and go to shitty teams. You kind of get what you coming off of the Achilles. He took the money and it
Achilles.
Why? What's wrong with that?
It's an Achilles.
That's the same thing.
Achilles.
I don't know. I don't feel bad for Cousins at all throughout this. That is a guy who you know what made me dislike Kirk Cousins? It was nothing he did in a Vikings uniform. It was when I watched that stupid Netflix documentary, The Quarterback, and all he talked about was that all he cares about is winning. But every opportunity, that guy has taken the max money, and he'll go to a shitty team. And whatever, it's a business. He has all the right in the world to do that. But when you go from Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and T.J. Hawkinson and all those guys, and you go to Atlanta, just to get the max money you get what you deserve.
And he's out on his can.
Yep.
But, man, he's made a lot of money. Aiden, what's your triple B?
Mine, we're going to college volleyball, which I'm sure everyone expected.
God.
Wait a second. Is this going to – did Iowa lose again in women's volleyball? You're
going to get Niang all worked up here, Hassel. Watch out.
All right. If you missed it, Penn State won a national title yesterday. Let me pull up a picture here of Coach – I want to make sure I have this right. 𝗀cie_𝗶𝗹𝗆 is battling. Cool. She has stage 2 breast cancer. She's a Penn State alum. I think it was 3 years ago she replaced her own college coach as the coach of Penn State. They won a national title yesterday.
That's awesome.
I think that's pretty cool. That's bigger, better, bolder if there ever was one.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Good pull right there, man.
I didn't expect it to go in that direction. But
who did they beat again?
Louisville.
Okay.
Louisville.
Good job with that. What are you going with, Hassel?
I'm going with a viral moment from over the weekend. Charlie Woods hitting his first hole-in-one. That's Tiger's son, and Tiger was right there to celebrate with him. A lot of expectations on this kid. Here's the cool video from the side. It was interesting because they couldn't see it go in from their vantage point, so he doesn't have a clue here.
I hadn't seen that. That's so cool.
He had never had a hole-in-one before. And he does it in this, it's kind of, like a fake tournament where, the guys play with their sons, and but it's televised, and it's one of the few times we see Tiger Woods teeing it up these days, and Charlie, who has so much, the expectations on God, because he's never gonna, who knows if he's even going to be good enough to be on tour. But to see that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you guys, good picks. It's so refreshing that Brock Purdy wasn't a part of the Triple B.
I didn't even see. Did they lose to the Dolphins yesterday?
They lost, yeah. They're in rough shape, man. That team is. And Brock threw an interception, the problem is that offense is so bad around him. Like, he's just getting hit every throw. Like, they really miss Trent Williams. Like, it's bad. Mm-hmm. Thank a couple of our sponsors, and we'll move on to a little college basketball here before we let you guys go. Want to thank our friends at the Full Court Press family of restaurants. Remember them. A lot of people go out to eat here over the next week. Load up on the Iowa Tap Room. Be my number one spot if you are in the Des Moines Metro. You got family coming to town. Take them to the Des Moines. Take them in Iowa Tap Room. You will not regret it, I promise. Shout out to our friends at Freedom Tire as well. They have been exactly. How's the cold treating you, by the way? Doing okay with the weather? Because I was gonna encourage people to make sure your vehicles are serviced. Got the new tires, you're ready to go for the cold weather, the snow, all that crap that's coming around the corner. How are you doing with the cold weather?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, look, all I ask for is for it to not be icy outside and snowy. Mm-hmm. But we were walking out of the restaurant last night, and oh my God, the wind hit my face so hard. Just blasted me in the face. Just froze my face right on off. But I'll take it. Look, it could be a lot worse in Iowa. I'm not going to get greedy. Look, it's not 75 and sunny like it is back home, but it's not too bad either.
The Iowa men's basketball team got a nice comeback win against Utah.
How about that? They were down.
I watched most of that game.
10 points in the second half.
Sanford, man, Sanford had about 3-minute stretch there at the end where he looked like the man, didn't he? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just what they need from that kid. They need that guy.
You just wish it was more consistent.
Yeah,
like just be the consistent star of that team. But look, this is a good win. They were, I want to say that was basically a pick 'em.
They needed that resume wise.
Had to have it. Yeah,
yeah. That was because I was starting to think to myself, man, when they were down,
yeah,
they're in deep trouble unless they have a really impressive Big Ten slate because they haven't won enough of these non-conference games. That they had to have that game.
But that's another one of those. You leave the state, and again you have a better home court atmosphere than you do at Carver. They left the state. They went to Moline, Illinois earlier in the year. Good atmosphere, and then this they always bring it in Sioux Falls.
That's a great venue.
It is, and I like it that they play games there every couple of years. But you could just tell the players how much they appreciate the atmosphere, because you just don't get. I mean, if that game was played in Carver,
they'd probably lose.
They might.
Honestly.
So that was a good win, good comeback, because I think a lot of people would start asking some questions had they lost that one as well. So good win.
I think
Good
I
time to
would
bounce
have.
back.
I think I would have been at the point where I have to, question maybe they're not as good as I thought they were going to be, type deal. So I showed my 9-year-old Die Hard over the weekend.
Was that appropriate for a 9-year-old?
Yeah, I don't know. She enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's appropriate or not. I have a weird thing. Both of my kids just think it's hilarious when other people get hurt on screen. So then I showed both girls Home Alone last night. And Elise thought that's the funniest thing ever. Like when he's getting hit in the head with an iron, the paint cans. Elise is just cackling at the wet bandits just getting messed up at the McAllister house. So I put up a little informal poll on Twitter. Who do you dislike more? Hans Gruber from Die Hard, Uncle Frank from Home Alone, or Bernard the Elf from Santa Claus? Because I freaking hate Bernard the Elf.
I don't remember Bernard the Elf
He
from Santa
sucks.
Claus. What does he do?
Is he really comparable to a terrorist, though?
Well, see, one could also ask is Uncle Frank, right? I mean, because like in my mind, like Hans Gruber, yeah, he's literally like a worldwide terrorist. Okay, like crazy terrorist. So I put this out, and I would say 75 to 90% of the responses say Uncle Frank is the worst. Like people hate Uncle Frank and Bernard the Elf more than the terrorist.
Really?
Yeah.
Look what you did, you little jerk.
And I would also ask was Uncle Frank ahead of his time though?
In what way?
Well, because he's presented as this total asshole towards the kids, but don't these kids these days, couldn't they use more Uncle Frank in their life?
Yeah, I feel
You know
like
what I mean?
I feel like I could be an Uncle Frank.
I got a lot of that in
Type.
the responses. People thought that you remind them of Uncle Frank.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got little boys running around being jerks, I could see myself putting them in their place. But I don't know. I'm a pretty good uncle. I've got a pretty big soft spot for the nieces and nephews. So I don't know that I have that in me. Now, if it was someone else's kids, like if it was your kids, Williams, Elise, sit down. Shut up. Trying to watch the game.
Elise is the best because you could do that to her and she wouldn't be offended. Elise is going to be the kid, like, she needs to be coached hard. Where Cameron will be the type of kid where you got to really ease into the discipline. Otherwise, you're just going to lose her, right?
What else did Uncle Frank do besides
God, he's an asshole. He's
the little jerk comment?
Remember when he's on the plane? Oh, the first class. That's where he reminds me of you. He asked for the champagne. He hasn't even sat down. He goes, "It's free, isn't it?" It's the freaking freeloader. Didn't even care that Kevin was left. He's really a despicable human being.
But because maybe you could argue that even though Hans Gruber is an international terrorist, maybe he doesn't do it to kids. Maybe he only kills adults. And Uncle Frank, I think if he could kill someone, it would be a kid first.
I think it would be Kevin McAllister.
Yeah. You could definitely make the argument for Uncle Frank, but I think he is one of the better parts of that movie, just because he's just such an ass. Somebody said that another villain in a Christmas movie is the little man from Elf. You know the movie Elf, and they bring in, what was he, an author or something?
Yeah, he's the kid's author.
And
Finch. Somebody Finch is his last name.
And he's the one on Game of Thrones. Man, he's a dick.
He's a dick, but he's antagonized by this guy, this grown man dressed as an elf.
Yeah.
Who, like in his, I don't necessarily blame him. You know,
Peter Dinklage is his name, the actor's name. That's right. God, he's such a great actor. He just comes across that table and attacks him.
Speaking of really weird people, 𝗙•𝗹𝗹𝗄𝗏 show with the fantastic 𝗀cie overthinking. They will be live today at 12. Their holiday extravaganza. So tune into that live, all across Iowa, everywhere. Murph and Andy will be live at 1.
Big day on Iowa everywhere.
Huge
Jeez,
day.
you got all that.
4 shows today.
The
Bigger
CW
than
pod's
12
out.
came
for
out
Festivus.
yesterday.
So big that we pushed bigger than 12 to yesterday. So that's out. Go check that out. And Legends and Listeners will be live 8:30 Friday morning.
Friday morning. Okay. Great.
Before they head to Nashville, I would assume.
I believe 𝗀cie will be down there already.
So this is interesting. Iowa State is not doing like a traditional bowl week this week. And I don't think Miami is either. You know, Chris, like back in the day, we would go and cover these bowl games for like an entire week.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, today they're going out to the beach, and there's going to be a tug of war between both teams.
Yeah. Not this year at the Pop-Tarts Bowl, at least. Nothing starts there until the afternoon of the 26th, and the game is on the 28th. I think Iowa State gets there on the 26th. So they're just going for like 2 days.
So, well, that's good. That means they can celebrate Christmas back home,
I just
right?
think, yeah, whatever. It's more interesting to me that it's another sign of the deterioration of these bowl
absolutely.
games.
And why spend more money than you need to? Like, why
Great
foot the
point.
bill for a whole week when you're going
for
out there
all
for an
those
exhibition game?
Hotel rooms and meals and...
We better make a prediction for the Pop-Tarts Bowl since we don't have a show before then.
I mean, do you think Ward's going to play?
No.
If he's not going to play... And
Now, he's saying he's going to play. I'm just saying I'm calling BS. And if he does play, I don't think he's going to play for very long.
Oh.
That's just my take on it. This guy could be the number 1 overall pick. What the hell is he doing playing in the
my
game?
gut tells me to pick Miami because Iowa State just hasn't been very good in bowl games and like these neutral, right? Like
I'm picking. We did picks for Randy Peterson article.
Yeah, that comes out.
I picked
today.
Miami just solely based on the fact that they just have more talent across the board than Iowa State does. I
do think Iowa State's going to be able to score on that defense, though.
Yeah, it should be an entertaining, high-scoring game.
If you were saying, hey, you have to make a bet on it, I would just play the over.
What is it at?
I don't know. Aiden, can you look that up?
It's got to be 50-some.
I would blindly play it. And I would play it earlier than later because I think that's going to be the sharp play. That most of these gamblers are going to be on, would be my guess. But I just, these bowl games are so hard because the underdogs often will just outright win it when they're going to win it. 55.5. So it opened at 53. It's at 55.5. So all the sharp money's there. Get it now if you want to.
And where's the point spread at now?
It was 3.5 last I saw with Miami.
Okay.
Yeah.
Iowa State opened -1, and now they're +3.5.
I think they opened -1 because I think that the odds makers were assuming Ward wouldn't play.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Look, weather's looking okay.
What is it going to look like? I got a pack.
This is Orlando, correct?
Yes.
Right now, Saturday, it's calling for partly sunny skies with a high of 78 degrees.
78. We'll take that.
Mm-hmm. I think it looks like the temperatures are going to be in the 70s for the game. You know, you have your chance of rain. You just never know this time of year, but it should be all right.
We have some nice comments from people wishing us a very Merry Christmas, and we wish it back to you, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you.
So you're heading over to the Adams County Speedway today, Lake Ikaria?
No, I'm not going out there until Friday. I'm over here in Eastern Iowa this week. We're gonna head over to Corning on Friday and fly out of Des Moines back home on Saturday.
Have you seen that girl who puked in the car yet?
Yes.
That steak?
Yes.
How's
What about the friend with the Oreos and the?
You seen that guy?
I haven't seen Oreo pubes yet.
Are you going to?
Probably not. I usually don't see him. He doesn't live in the area anymore.
Oh. Yeah, he's in prison.
He's not in prison. He's leading a very successful life as a well-respected father of multiple kids. His wife was very attracted
just harassed
to
him at his
crumbled
kids.
up Oreo pubes.
Have you ever just completely verbally assaulted him via text message at his child's piano recital?
No, I saved that only for you.
God. I had to just turn my phone on complete mute.
I love
silent
picturing
mode.
how pissed you were when you were reading
almost
that.
left the conversation.
Oh my God.
I would have come back. And then I get out of it. I get out of this beautiful recital. I'm all dad mode. My little girl's growing up. She's so pretty. I'm so proud of her. And I open up my phone, and it's you, Eric Murphy, and Don Hassel flipping me off, all giving me the double birds. And Andy Fail's message, "Fuck you, Williams." Love you guys too.
They were pissed, man. They were real
I guess
pissed.
it's I would rather it be like this than nobody cares if I don't show up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted you. We missed you.
I missed it too. I really did. All right. Love you, man. Tell everybody back in Muscatine hello.
Merry Christmas. Happy Festivus.
Aiden, thank you for filling in today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good job, Aiden.
Aiden's been working his ass off for the last 24 hours to get all this content lined up, so that doesn't go unnoticed, buddy. What does that mean?
It's a
the
heart.
Caitlin Clark. Remember the Caitlin
Well,
Clark heart
actually,
thing?
it's a Taylor Swift heart, but
No, it was Caitlin Clark did that, and then remember the guy from the Indianapolis Star did that to her
Oh my God,
at
I
like a
forgot
press
about that.
conference. Oh, yeah. And it was so awkward that they
He got
banned him
yeah.
from reporting on Fever games.
26th on Thursday, we'll have a best of. We will not be live on Thursday, but you guys will enjoy it. Van Winkle did a great job of it. All right, later today, Overthinking at noon, Murph and Andy at 1. All live, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Of course, you can get it on demand wherever you check out your podcasts. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Iowa Everywhere.